Mankind never forgets a favor, and their payback can shake worlds HFY. The icy expanse of the Zitrian system glimmered dimly against the backdrop of distant stars. Its planets were dying, their suns unstable, and civilizations teetering on the edge of extinction. From orbit, the situation looked hopeless, yet a small signal beacon pulsed insistently toward the far reaches of space, a plea for help sent across the void to an unlikely savior: humanity. On Earth, in the bustling control tower of the United Interstellar Command, Commander Alina Kay adjusted her visor and leaned over the holographic map. "The Zitrians are asking for help," she said softly, almost to herself. "Their entire civilization could vanish if we don't act fast." Around her, officers and engineers exchanged glances. Humanity had grown powerful in the last century. Colonies dotted nearby star systems, starships traveled farther than ever before, and human knowledge had begun to rival even the oldest alien empires. But humans were still young on the galactic stage, still learning how other species worked. The Zitrians' request was bold, almost reckless, but it called for humanity's unique combination of bravery and cunning. "Commander," said Lieutenant Aaron, stepping closer, "their fleet is crippled. Their ships are ancient, barely able to maneuver. Even if we send help, we'll face interference. The other species, Zelorians, the Shivar Collective, they won't let us aid them without a fight." Alina nodded, her mind already racing. "Then we'll do it our way, fast, precise, and smart." Humanity has never backed down from a challenge before. Within hours, the first human expedition fleet departed Earth orbit, a small but advanced group of vessels equipped for emergency aid, repair, and evacuation. The Zitrians had sent coordinates to a deteriorating space station above their home planet, a place that had once been a hub of culture and science, but was now a crumbling skeleton orbiting a dying world. As the human ships neared Zitrian space, the scale of the crisis became clear. Dozens of Zitrian ships drifted, damaged and lifeless, while others barely held together under the stress of the failing system. Flares from the dying sun reflected off fractured hulls, a silent signal of desperation. Captain Theo Rains piloted the lead human vessel, Aurora's Flame, with a calm precision honed through years of training. "Hold formation," he instructed. "We cannot afford collisions. Every Zitrian ship we save is a life saved." The first obstacle appeared suddenly: a band of Shivar scouts, small but fast ships notorious for ambushing aid convoys. They had detected the humans and moved in, seeking to destroy or capture the fleet before it could reach the Zitrians. "Shivar ships inbound," shouted Lieutenant Mara, monitoring sensors. "They're fast and they have cloaking tech. We can't outrun them." Alina's voice was firm. "Then we fight smart, not hard. Theo, deploy the drones around the perimeter. Let the Zitrians see we mean business." The human ships released swarms of autonomous repair and defense drones. They formed shifting shields, creating zones of safety around the floundering Zitrian ships. Then the humans struck with surgical precision, disabling the Shivar scouts with non-lethal energy pulses. It was a daring move, but the scouts were forced to retreat, their strategy failing against human tactics. Once the immediate threat passed, the human crews went to work. Zitrian ships were towed toward stable orbits. Damaged propulsion systems were patched, hull breaches sealed with a combination of rapid deploy alloys and force field reinforcements. Every crew member moved with a rhythm, a combination of urgency and care, knowing that failure meant the loss of millions of lives. In one of the derelict Zitrian ships, a young human engineer named Leela Chen worked feverishly. Her hands moved over exposed circuitry, rewiring energy conduits and stabilizing engines. Sparks flew as she connected human components to alien systems, a process that would have been impossible without improvisation and patience. A small Zitrian girl, no older than 10, floated near the damaged bridge. Her translucent skin shimmered under the emergency lights and her large violet eyes watched Leela intently. She held a small device in her hands, trembling slightly. "Do you need help?" Leela asked gently. The girl hesitated, then nodded. I don't know how to make it work. It's part of our life signal array. Without it, the others, they can't survive the jump to the new orbit." Leela smiled, determination in her eyes. "Then we'll do it together." Hours passed as human crews coordinated repairs across multiple ships. The pace was relentless, but every time a Zitrian ship powered up and responded to commands, cheers echoed across the human fleet. It was a quiet celebration, a promise that humanity would not let even one life slip away. Finally, the last Zitrian ship was stabilized, ready for evacuation to safer orbit or transport to colonies under construction in nearby systems. Exhausted but proud, Alina K. watched the results of their efforts. Millions of Zitrians were alive because humans had chosen to help, not because it was required, but because they believed it was the right thing to do. As the human fleet prepared to depart, the Zitrians approached cautiously. Their leaders had never trusted outsiders easily, and the humans' actions had been bold even by galactic standards. A Zitrian elder, tall and shimmering with bioluminescent patterns, stepped forward. "You have saved us when no one else would," the elder said, his voice melodic and resonant. "You have given us a chance to survive. Know this, the favor you have done will never be forgotten. When the time comes, humanity will not stand alone." Alina nodded, humbled. "We did what any civilization would do if they had the chance. Protecting life, that's what makes us human." But even as the humans left Zitrian space, subtle signs of future challenges appeared. Scouts reported distant fleets monitoring the activity. Rival empires would see the humans' involvement as interference. The act of kindness would ripple outward, creating tension even as it secured life. Back on the bridge of Aurora's flame, Theo Rain spoke quietly. "We've made friends today, yes. But I have a feeling we've also made some enemies." Alina smiled faintly. "Then let them come. Humanity has a way of rising to the occasion. We never forget what matters, and we never let those who trust us down." As stars streaked past the human ships, the Zitrians' homeworld shrank in the distance, but the promise of loyalty glowed brightly. Humanity had done a favor without hesitation, guided by courage, ingenuity, and moral conviction. And somewhere, deep in the galactic dark, the seeds of payback for that favor had already begun to grow. In the quiet of the command deck, Leela Chen allowed herself a brief moment of pride. The Zitrian girl she had helped floated beside her, clutching a small, repaired device. "Will we meet again?" she asked softly. "Yes," Leela said firmly, "and when we do, we'll be ready for anything." Above them, the stars continued to shine, indifferent yet witness to the smallest acts of heroism. Humanity had chosen a path of courage and kindness, and though the galaxy was vast and dangerous, for the first time there was a force that could not be ignored. Humans, clever and unyielding, leaving their mark wherever they went. The favor had been given. The debt, though unspoken, would echo across time. Humanity would remember, and when the day came, their payback would shake worlds. Decades had passed since humanity had saved the Zitrians from their dying system. During that time, humans had expanded across nearby star systems, building colonies and trade networks that reached farther than anyone had imagined a century before. Humanity was growing stronger, cleverer, and more respected, but also more noticed by powerful alien empires, some of whom were not pleased by humanity's rise. Commander Alina K's protege, Captain Darius Vale, now led one of the most advanced human fleets. He had heard the stories of Earth's first missions to help the Zitrians, tales of bravery and ingenuity that became lessons in human courage for every officer. Darius sat in the command chair of Starhawk, observing the new systems on the display. "Sensors are picking up alien warships," said Lieutenant Myra Chen, a distant relative of Leela Chen. "The Shivar Collective is moving toward our colonies. They have a massive fleet, far bigger than ours." Darius frowned. "How did they gather this fast?" "We haven't had contact with them in years." Myra pointed to a series of scattered signals. "They're coordinating with unknown forces. It looks like they're planning a strike on multiple human colonies simultaneously." The news hit hard. Humanity had grown in confidence, but the Shivar Collective had never forgiven humans for their earlier interference in Zitrian affairs. Humanity had helped a weaker species, and now the ripple of that kindness threatened to ignite a war across multiple systems. Meanwhile, the Zitrians were watching closely. The young girl Leela Chen had once helped was now a commanding officer in the Zitrian fleet, her skills shaped by human ingenuity. She had never forgotten the humans who saved her people and had vowed to repay the favor when the time came. As the Shivar fleet approached, alarms blared across the human colonies. Panic rippled through the civilian populations, and fleets scrambled to defend their worlds. Darius knew the only chance of survival was to act quickly and decisively. "Prepare for a full engagement," Darius ordered. "We need to hold them off long enough for civilians to evacuate and for our allies to arrive. Everyone, trust in what humanity can do. We've faced impossible odds before." The first wave of Shivar ships appeared, dark silhouettes against the bright light of distant stars. They attacked with precision, targeting power grids, orbital defenses, and transport vessels. The humans were outnumbered but not outsmarted. Darius gave the command, "Deploy the orbital drones. Let them spread across the approach corridors." Swarming drones moved with speed and efficiency, intercepting enemy fire and creating protective barriers around fleeing colonies. Every human officer knew that the goal was survival, not glory, but survival required skill, cunning, and bravery. The battle raged for hours. Human ships darted between asteroids and debris fields, using the terrain to outmaneuver their larger foes. Shivar ships, expecting a straightforward fight, found themselves constantly outmaneuvered, their attacks disrupted by unpredictably clever tactics. Then, in the middle of the chaos, a massive human sensor picked up a signal. Zitrian ships were entering the system. Darius blinked in surprise. "Zitrians? They're here," Lieutenant Chen smiled. "They've kept their word, they've come to repay the favor." The Zitrian fleet was unlike anything humans had seen before. Sleek, advanced, and equipped with technology humans had helped develop decades ago, the Zitrians joined the battle with precision. Their arrival turned the tide, giving humanity the edge it desperately needed. Captain Leela, commanding the Zitrian fleet, coordinated with Darius over secure channels. "Human ingenuity saved us once," she said. "Now, your ingenuity saves us all again." Together, humans and Zitrians began executing maneuvers that no single species could have achieved alone. Darius guided human ships to draw enemy fire, while Zitrian ships struck at weak points, dismantling Shivar formations with speed and accuracy. Amid the battle, a young human diplomat, Nadia Corwin, discovered a Shivar plan that shocked everyone. They intended not just to conquer humans, but to annihilate multiple neighboring species in the region. This was more than a territorial dispute. It was an attempt to dominate the galaxy by fear. Nadia's discovery changed everything. She immediately communicated the intelligence to Darius. "If we don't act now, it's not just humanity at risk. Entire civilizations could be wiped out," she said, urgency in her voice. Darius made a decision that surprised even the Zitrians. "Then we split forces. Some will continue defending human colonies. Others, including select Zitrian units, will intercept the main enemy command. This has to end today." The human Zitrian strike team moved into enemy territory, navigating asteroid belts and hidden jump points. Every step required careful calculation. A single misstep could mean the loss of the fleet, but humans were nothing if not adaptable. Using their knowledge of alien tactics and Zitrian technology, they devised traps and ambushes that threw the Shivar collective into chaos. The young diplomat Nadia played a critical role. She guided the fleet toward the enemy command ship, a massive vessel bristling with weapons and defenses. Using a combination of human strategy and Zitrian speed, they disabled its shields and disrupted communication lines. Inside the enemy command ship, panic spread as their systems failed one by one. Officers tried to coordinate counterattacks, but the human Zitrian fleet had already anticipated their every move. Darius led the final strike personally, boarding the enemy ship with a small team to disable its core reactor. The mission was dangerous, but humans had a way of thriving under pressure. Using ingenuity and bravery, they navigated the reactor maze, bypassing traps, and finally secured the core. With a controlled detonation, the command ship was neutralized, ending the Shivar offensive. As the smoke cleared, humans and Zitrians regrouped. The cost had been high, several ships lost, lives sacrificed, but the victory was undeniable. Humanity had survived against impossible odds, and the Zitrians had repaid the favor in a way that no one could ignore. Leela, the Zitrian commander, approached Darius on the bridge of Starhawk. "You saved more than our people," she said quietly. "You preserved hope for countless others. Humanity's actions created ripples far beyond what you can imagine." Darius nodded. "We don't do this for thanks. We do it because it's right, but I'll admit it feels good to have allies who never forget." In the aftermath, colonies began rebuilding, and news of the battle spread across nearby systems. Alien empires took notice. Humans were no longer just a growing civilization. They were a force to be reckoned with. They had proven that courage, intelligence, and moral resolve could overcome even the most overwhelming enemies. Back on Earth, Alina Kay, now an advisor to the Galactic Council, reflected on the events. "Decades ago, humanity saved a single species," she thought, "and now our actions have shaped the future of entire regions of space. The favor we gave has returned in ways we could not have imagined. Humanity has grown stronger, not by conquest but by kindness, courage, and ingenuity." Meanwhile, the Zitrians prepared for future cooperation. Leela oversaw training programs where humans and Zitrians shared knowledge, technology, and strategies. A new alliance was forming, one built on respect, trust, and the understanding that a single act of kindness could change the course of the galaxy. Yet, even as humans celebrated, distant signals hinted at new threats. Alien factions who had been observing the battle quietly retreated, regrouping, and reconsidering their approach to humanity. The galaxy was vast, full of unknown dangers, but humans had learned a lesson that could not be erased. Loyalty and ingenuity are not to be underestimated. Captain Darius Vale stood on the observation deck of Starhawk, watching stars streak past as the fleet moved toward safe space. "We've seen the power of alliances and the impact of a favor returned," he said quietly. "The galaxy is changing. And humanity will be ready for whatever comes next." As the fleet sailed onward, the young diplomat Nadia Corwin reviewed data from the battlefield. "It's only the beginning," she said. "One favor led to this victory, but the ripples will continue. Humanity's choices will echo across the stars for generations." In the quiet of space, humans, Zitrians, and even those who once doubted them had learned the same truth. The galaxy remembers actions, and when humans act with courage and honor, the consequences are far greater than anyone could predict. The favor had created ripples, waves that now reshaped alliances, battle lines, and power structures. Humanity had shown that even small acts of kindness, combined with brilliance and courage, could shake the foundations of the galaxy. And far beyond the reach of human eyes, some alien leaders whispered of this new force, the humans. Clever, unpredictable, and unyielding. They had made a friend once, and when the time came, their payback could shake worlds. The galaxy was watching. Word of the Human-Zitrian Alliance's victory over the Shivar Collective had spread quickly, stirring fear, awe, and curiosity across star systems. Alien empires whispered in dark halls, trying to understand this small, young species that seemed to shape events with cleverness and courage alone. Captain Darius Vale stood on the bridge of Starhawk, now a veteran commander, his eyes scanning the distant starfields. "We've bought time," he said to Lieutenant Myra Chen, "but the galaxy isn't quiet yet. They will test us again." Myra nodded. "We've learned much from the Zitrians. Their fleet is advanced, but we can teach them even more about human strategy. They respect us now, but the true test will be if the enemies remember us as the ones who outsmarted them, rather than the ones they can intimidate." The test arrived sooner than expected. A coalition of rival alien empires, including remnants of the Shivar Collective and opportunistic Zelorian forces, moved toward the human Zitrian-controlled sectors. They aimed to crush humanity before it could consolidate power. "The enemy is gathering at the Kalen cluster," reported sensors. "Their numbers surpass our combined fleets. They're bringing everything they have." Darius clenched his fists. "Then we show them what humans are capable of. Prepare the fleet. We're going to fight smarter, faster, and with heart. Humanity never forgets a favor, and we never give up." As fleets from both sides converged, the humans and Zitrians worked in perfect harmony. Human engineers had developed advanced warp diversion techniques, allowing small squads of ships to appear in unexpected locations, striking enemy supply lines and command points. Zitrians adapted quickly, integrating human tactics with their own superior speed and weapon systems. The opening clash was brutal. Energy beams streaked across the void, missiles streaked past shattered asteroids, and warships collided in violent displays of firepower. Yet through it all, human ingenuity guided the battle. Tactical maneuvers were improvised on the spot. Ships used debris fields to ambush larger opponents. Enemy signals were hacked and fed false data, causing confusion and disorder among their ranks. In the midst of the chaos, Captain Leela, the Zitrian commander, coordinated with Darius over secure channels. "Your strategy is brilliant," she said. "You turn desperation into advantage." Darius smiled, though sweat ran down his face. "Humanity has a way of making impossible things possible. We never give up, and we never forget who we owe our strength to." The battle reached a turning point when a massive enemy dreadnought, bristling with advanced weaponry, appeared at the edge of the Kalen cluster. It seemed unstoppable, capable of destroying entire fleets with a single salvo. "Dreadnought approaching," warned Lieutenant Chen. "It could destroy half our fleet before we can react." Darius's mind raced. "Then we do the unexpected, deploy the diversion squads. Draw it into the asteroid field and let our hidden forces strike its engines. Everyone, follow my lead." The human Zitrian fleet executed the plan flawlessly. Small ships darted forward, drawing the dreadnought's fire while hidden assault units attacked from behind, striking critical weak points. Explosions rocked the massive ship, yet the enemy pressed on, refusing to surrender. Inside the dreadnought's command bridge, chaos reigned. Officers shouted over alarms. They had underestimated the humans' cleverness and the coordination between species. Darius led a boarding team in a stealth operation. They infiltrated the dreadnought, avoiding traps and security drones. Each move was calculated, precise, and daring. Humans adapted instantly to alien systems, overriding controls and neutralizing defenses. Finally, they reached the reactor chamber. The human engineers set a controlled detonation sequence that would disable the ship without destroying it completely, preserving intelligence and technology for study. Back in orbit, the dreadnought's weapons fell silent. Enemy morale collapsed, and remaining forces began retreating in disarray. The human-Zitrian alliance had won again, not just through strength, but through strategy, courage, and ingenuity. After the battle, as fleets regrouped, Leela approached Darius on the observation deck. "Your species, you are more than we imagined. You saved us once. Now you've saved countless others and reshaped the balance of power." Darius looked out at the stars, humbled. "We didn't do it for praise. We do what is right, even when the odds are against us. But I will admit, it feels good to see our actions remembered, and returned in ways we never expected." News of the victory spread quickly across the galaxy. Alien empires who had doubted humanity now reconsidered. Humans were no longer a minor species. They were a force of unpredictability and brilliance, capable of defending themselves and reshaping alliances. The Zitrians held a ceremony to honor the humans. In a grand hall on their flagship, bioluminescent patterns shimmered across the walls as leaders from both species spoke. "You saved us when all seemed lost," said Leela, her voice resonant across the chamber. "You taught us strategy, courage, and ingenuity. Humanity's favor was repaid in loyalty, and now your presence shakes worlds." Darius stepped forward. "We acted as humans should. We believe in courage, in kindness, and in never forgetting those who trust us. Today, we celebrate not just victory, but the bonds we've built. We fight together, we live together, and together we are stronger than anyone imagined." The ceremony ended with a pledge between humans and Zitrians: mutual aid in all times of need, sharing of knowledge and resources, and a vow to uphold justice in the galaxy. Even as they celebrated, distant fleets still watched. Other empires whispered, uncertain if they could confront this human-Zitrian alliance. Fear and respect intertwined, reshaping the political landscape of nearby systems. Humans had proven that courage, cleverness, and moral strength were as powerful as fleets and weapons. On Earth, Elena K. addressed the United Interstellar Council. "Humanity has always acted with purpose and honor. We have shown that a single act of kindness can echo across the stars. Today, our people are respected not because we dominate, but because we act rightly, boldly, and with heart." Meanwhile, the young diplomat Nadia Corwin, now a senior advisor, reflected on the ripple effects. "One favor," she said, "created alliances, victories, and respect across the galaxy. Humanity's choices shape worlds. We never forget, and the galaxy never forgets humanity." Back on the bridge of Starhawk, Darius stood silently, gazing at the stars. Somewhere in distant systems, other species would remember this day. They would remember humanity's courage, skill, and honor. And when the time came for humans to face new challenges, they would act, not out of greed or vengeance, but with the same integrity that had carried them this far. The galaxy had changed. Humans had changed it, not through conquest, but through action, loyalty, and ingenuity. The favor given decades ago had returned in ways that shaped wars, alliances, and respect. Humanity had shaken worlds, not with force alone, but with courage, intelligence, and moral conviction. As the stars stretched past the fleet, Darius spoke quietly, almost to himself. "We never forget a favor, and neither should the galaxy. When humans act, we make it count. That's our way." The Zitrians joined in silently, their ships shining in formation. They understood fully. The species they owed their survival to had become a force unmatched in cleverness, courage, and determination. And somewhere, far beyond human eyes, alien empires watched and wondered. They had underestimated a young species once. Never again. Humanity had arrived, not by force, but by heart, mind, and spirit. The favor had been given. It had been returned. And in the vast reaches of space, the payback of humans was felt like a quiet, unstoppable tremor, one that would shake worlds, inspire allies, and warn enemies for generations to come. Humanity had proved once more that courage and honor were as mighty as any weapon. That cleverness and ingenuity could defy impossible odds. That helping others, even when it seems dangerous, could change the fate of entire civilizations. The stars above seemed to acknowledge it, shining brighter as if in approval. And humanity, as always, pressed onward, undaunted, ingenious, and unyielding, leaving its mark wherever it traveled. For in the galaxy there was one truth that no empire could ignore. Mankind never forgets a favor, and when the time comes, their payback can shake worlds.